Today, we're going to talk about a topic that has weighed on all of us at some point, which is letting go of someone, being able to leave a place, or letting go of a situation or a person. We've all experienced a failed relationship at one time or another, right? And when that happens to us, we face a very complicated process that we have to go through. That process is the process of letting go and becoming detached. Letting go is difficult because no matter how much you want to move on, your head and your heart are still there, stuck in that place or with that person. Letting go never happens overnight. It's not magic. It's not a process that's linear either. There will be days when it doesn't hurt, but there will be others when just hearing a song that reminds you of that person, or walking past the corner, the restaurant you used to go to, will stir up a flood of emotions and can send you spiraling. And let me tell you something, that's okay. Feeling that doesn't mean you're broken or weak. It means you're human. You can't quickly forget someone because that person was responsible for some of your happiest memories and moments. At the very least, you won't be able to forget them in the blink of an eye. I want you to be clear about that. It takes time, and I'm going to explain why. So that when you understand it, you can go through the process of letting go much more smoothly without having to suffer so much. Okay? The first thing I want you to know is why it feels so hard inside you when someone is no longer in your life, and why it's so difficult to let them go. Well, attachment is a biological process that goes beyond our conscious control. It's something that happens naturally without us really noticing. It's a habit that we first acquire by choice, by spending time together, and by very strong emotions. But none of those three things do we do in a fully conscious way. I'll explain it to you more easily. When you meet someone, you don't feel love right away, right? Maybe you like them. Maybe you get along. Maybe you share a sweet moment, but you don't love them. You don't love them until you spend a lot of time with that person and start associating very strong and intense emotions with them. I mean, you start associating them with tenderness because of their gestures, with pleasure because of the sex you have, or the kisses, or the hugs, or you associate them with security when they open the door for you, or pay the bill, or protect you. You connect them with something familiar when they join your friends or family. And little by little, through spending time together, and those emotions I'm talking about, which generate a lot of feel good chemicals in your body, that's how you come to the conclusion that you love that person. When in reality, what you love is how you feel when you're with that person. But we'll get to that in a moment. Once you say you're in love, it's because your brain has already formed neural connections and relationships over time that register that person as someone familiar, as someone who brings pleasure to your life, as someone protective, and everything else I already mentioned. For your brain, seeing that person or being with that person is just as pleasurable, or even more so, than eating chocolate, taking cocaine, or going shopping, but in a much more sustained way. That being said, the problem of letting go begins when your relationship ends. That person is no longer there, and your brain starts to need, let me emphasize, need that person to stimulate itself in the ways it did when that person was around, and to release all the feel good hormones it used to release, like oxytocin and dopamine, among others. In other words, your brain became addicted to a person just like it would become addicted to chocolate, shopping, or drugs. But since that person is gone, then you start a battle between your unconscious mind, which is asking you to get that person back, and your conscious mind, which knows that person is not for you and is no longer with you. I'll explain it even more simply and less scientifically. Your brain got used to that person. You developed a mental habit that you became addicted to because of the way you felt. Just like people addicted to exercise. like that. You became addicted to the feel-good hormones you released through the stimuli from that person, and not so much to that person themselves. All right. I hope I was clear because I explained it in the simplest way possible. And now that you know this, that it's a biological matter, I want to tell you 4 laws, which are the 4 laws of detachment. So you can apply them and be much happier because you will be emotionally free. You won't cling to anything or anyone anymore, nor will you need something or someone to be happy. You won't be addicted to anyone anymore, only to yourself. That doesn't mean you can't be in a relationship with someone. But when you are, do it in a healthier way. Okay? Okay? Is that clear? All right. These laws I'm going to tell you about are a great gift I want to give you because only people with the highest level of awareness know them. And today, just by understanding them, you're going to live much better. Before I mention them, I want to give you more background. In the context of personal growth and spirituality, the term detachment, it is the key to achieving happiness. Living with detachment means to stop needing or depending, or to stop living in fear of losing what we cling to excessively. It basically means knowing how to love, or knowing how to appreciate, or knowing how to relate to places, people, or things from a more balanced and healthy point of view, freeing ourselves from those excesses that chain us down and trap us in those places, things, or people. Practicing detachment, it allows us to be freer, lighter, less attached to what we have, or even to what we lack. Living by practicing detachment, it doesn't mean living in indifference, not caring about anything. Rather, it means living without compulsively or obsessively needing things, needing nothing or no one. Anyway, so you can live that way, freer, lighter, and without clinging to anything or anyone. And so you can let go of all that weight on your back. It's very important that you put these 4 simple laws of detachment into practice, which I'm about to explain. The first law of detachment: you are responsible for yourself. Okay? The first law of detachment refers to the basic principle of personal growth, which is responsibility. And let's think about this for a moment. The reality is that no one is going to remove every little stone or obstacle we find in our path for us. No one is going to jump over the obstacles for us. Much less is anyone going to breathe for us or volunteer to carry our sorrows or pains. Each one of us is responsible for our own existence and our own happiness. And this means that we must detach ourselves from other people's opinions or the need to be validated, or from waiting for others' approval to move forward with our decisions, our dreams, our projects, or our life in general. We are free people. And the goal of creating the destiny we believe is right for us belongs only to us and no one else. No one is going to build your life for you. No one is going to build your happiness for you. You are the only person responsible, and you shouldn't need anyone else for that. The word need implies that without that thing, or without that place, or without that person, you can't be happy. That your whole being depends on that object of attachment, and that your life would lose its meaning if something or someone didn't exist. If that thing or person didn't exist, that's what it means to need. We need oxygen. We need water and food to live. That's what we really need. But I don't think we need an X that much. Okay? Getting attached to something or someone and needing them is extremely harmful to our mental health. Because whatever it is that we want in our lives today, it's very likely that it could disappear tomorrow as our lives move forward. Nothing is permanent. And when you think otherwise, the only thing you'll create for yourself is great suffering. I'll repeat, needing something or someone is thinking that if you don't have it, your life will be ruined, or that if you lose it, you'll be an unfortunate or unhappy person. These ideas are very unrealistic because the truth is, nobody dies from losing something or someone. However, before we realize this and become aware of what I'm telling you, well, people, and you who are listening to me, go through a lot of anxiety and sadness as we try with all our strength to get what we think we need. What's more, even when we still have it, we do our best not to lose it. And that also causes us anxiety. In romantic relationships, what I'm telling you becomes very clear. An exaggerated idea of romance has taught us throughout our lives that love involves suffering, effort, and sacrifice. True or false? It has even made jealousy seem normal by spreading stupid ideas. Like, if you're not jealous, you don't love me. Because if there's no jealousy, there's no love. Remember this: desire makes you free, but need makes you a slave. When you think you need your partner, automatically that means you didn't choose another person freely and from a place of abundance, but from a place of personal lack. And this reflects that you are afraid of being alone or that you have pretty low self esteem. Maybe you think it's better to have someone stronger and more valuable than you to protect you. Or maybe you just got attached to that person because your life is pretty boring or empty, and you think it's the only thing you have left to give your life some flavor and color. Whatever the reason is, the point is that you're being a slave to your own mental emptiness and insecurities. You haven't chosen to be with that person because they improve your life or make it better than being alone. You choose them because you believe without them, your world is gone. And that's wrong. You chose her like someone chooses a prosthesis to make something that was incomplete feel complete, or like someone who puts a patch on a flat tire. However, the exact opposite happens when instead of needing, you want or prefer to be with someone. When you want, but you don't need, you make a choice based on your own plan for happiness and personal well being. You love that person because your life with them is enhanced, or because you have a similar vision, or because you share interests, and because you are going to be a very solid team for the rest of your lives and the path ahead. When you need someone, what you bring into the relationship are insecurities, fear, and desperation. But when you choose someone or want to be with someone, you're at peace, enjoying the present you share with that person. When you need a partner, you fall victim to thoughts like, I'm going to end up alone. Nobody loves me. I'm unlucky in love, or there's something wrong with me. But when you choose a partner, you make that choice freely, without anything pressuring or influencing you. When you decide to love freely, and finally free yourself from all those chains, cages, and ghosts that were leading you the wrong way, you discover a new way to be in a relationship. And that is real love. That is authentic love. Not the neurotic, crazy, impulsive, and visceral love that movies tell us about. Those are just romantic fantasies. Rather than love, cause the relationship to go straight to failure. When you stop needing to have a partner, and even more so, a particular one, you realize jealousy has disappeared from your life because you simply aren't jealous anymore. Because you're no longer afraid of losing someone or something you simply want but don't need. Of course, keep in mind, it will probably hurt if you lose that person. That's obvious. But it won't be a sea of tears and endless suffering anymore, because you'll be aware that your happiness doesn't depend on your partner and that life will keep offering you opportunities if that person is no longer in your life. Obviously, this makes the relationship work much better than when there is jealousy, and it helps both people to be much more faithful. When you no longer feel the need, you stop being dependent on your partner because you no longer think you need someone better than you, or stronger than you, or more capable than you. You know you can manage on your own in this world without needing someone to rescue you from your own life and without the love of someone specific. You can like someone and you can wish for that person to support you and to show you their gestures of love and affection. But if you don't have a partner in your life, you will be calm because there are friends, family, work, hobbies, and many more things that you can add to your list that are yours and only yours. Ironically, when you stop needing your partner, Your life together goes more smoothly. You become a more attractive partner. Almost nothing is a big problem anymore. Although, of course, it's normal for there to be adversities and obstacles. But now you solve problems as a team. You stop arguing to prove who's right, avoiding ego clashes, because neither of your egos won't be as big anymore. So that it's not something worth fighting over. You'll both look in the same direction together and you'll want to share your life together. But if that's not the case, because unfortunately, love can't always do everything, the world will keep going and each of you will be able to live a completely happy life on your own or with another partner. Today, I want to remind you that you shouldn't put your own happiness in someone else's hands. Your happiness is yours. Not your partner's, not your family's, not your boss's, it's yours. If you give it to others, it won't be yours anymore. Don't get the idea that to be happy in this life, it's important and essential to find a partner who loves you. Nor is it always necessary to have your family's recognition. Sometimes solitude is the best company for pursuing self actualization to conquer our world. If the measure of your satisfaction and happiness depends on what others tell you or bring into your life, you will get nothing but disappointment and suffering because you will rarely be able to meet all your needs or expectations. Cultivate your own happiness. Take responsibility, be a mature person, and be aware of your decisions and their consequences. Decide and choose for yourself. And never ever let your well being depend on other people's opinions or advice. The second law of detachment says live in the present, accept and embrace your reality. Nothing in this life is eternal. Nothing is permanent, everything flows and everything changes. Unfortunately, people make the mistake of almost always focusing on everything that happened in the past. And that somehow now becomes a heavy burden, a very heavy burden that affects our present. We are almost always so attached to all those past events that we forget the most important thing to live and enjoy our present moment. We put all our attention and all our energy into those things that hit us hard or shook us up in the past or that frustrated us or hurt us. And we turn them into anchors at our feet or cages for our heart and our soul. And they don't let us move forward. Okay? That's why, as a second step toward detachment, we have this law. We need to gather the necessary strength and focus to set our sights on the present and allow ourselves to heal wounds. We must nurture acceptance. We have to face reality and stop resisting certain obvious things so much. In fact, sometimes we have no choice but to forgive others and to forgive ourselves because only then will we feel free, light, ready to enjoy with all our senses, the here and now. This present moment is where you have your true chance to be happy and to enjoy the only life you have and will ever have. Is it clear? The third law of detachment: protect your freedom and allow others to be free as well. Freedom is the fullest, most complete, and healthiest way to enjoy life. And by this, I don't mean cutting ties with everyone else or putting up barriers or becoming a hermit, cold, emotionally distant, or super independent. Someone who doesn't need anyone. Quite the opposite. I mean loving, but in a more authentic and respectful way. I mean knowing how to give and receive, but without pressure, without neediness, without anxiety, or with that fear of being abandoned. I mean being a couple or being family, but without ceasing to be your own person. Like I've told you before, you can't share your glass of water if your glass of water is empty. First, you need to fill your glass of water. And the best way to fill it is by being free. Even with a partner, be free, live your life, build it, pursue your dreams, your passions, your happiness, and share it with someone else. Without it, meaning you let that person clip your wings or that you want to clip theirs. Another thing I want you to be clear about is that none of us has an obligation to be someone else's hero. A healthy relationship doesn't try to rescue someone else to heal their traumas, their loneliness, or their wounds caused by their past. This kind of relationship that tries to do that only brings suffering into your life. Intense attachments are never healthy. Let's think, for example, about super obsessive parents, overprotective, who go overboard in protecting their children and who prevent them from maturing, evolving, and moving forward with confidence as they explore the world. The need to detach is vital in these cases as well, not just in romantic relationships. That's where each person needs to step outside the boundaries of their comfort zone, which actually isn't comfortable at all, to explore the unknown. Is that clear as well? I'm moving on to the fourth law, but there's still much to discuss. The fourth law of detachment. It says, assume that losses will happen sooner or later. Buddhists come from a philosophical tradition I really love. They are very aware of a concept called impermanence. And basically, it's an idea that suggests that in this life, nothing can last forever. Relationships, material things, our own life, it changes, it matures, and it often comes to an end. So we have to accept the idea of change, absence, and even loss as a fact of life. And we can't run away from it or fight it. Some people are going to leave for good. Our children are going to grow up. Our friends, eventually, they might not be our friends anymore. And some loves will leave our lives. But without a doubt, eventually, other things will come. More friends, more people, because life is change and movement. And when you understand that, you will already be well advanced in your process of mastering detachment. If you want to start practicing the four laws of detachment, the first thing I recommend you do is to identify the things, places, or people that generate feelings of attachment in you. Then ask yourself what purpose they served in your life. Always keep it in mind, but then be grateful for what they did for you. Release them and let them go. It's very important that you learn to let go, because only by letting go can you allow yourself to receive. Because when your hands are full holding on to the past, you don't have any free hands left to grab your present and your future. Sometimes letting go isn't necessarily a sacrifice or a goodbye. It's more like a thank you. It's being grateful for everything you've learned. It's letting go of what can no longer sustain itself, to remain freer and to evolve and receive that way. All the new things that are meant to come into your life. And I know that nobody prepared you in school or in life for what it means to accept that someone you love is no longer part of your life. Maybe today you're here because for some reason, I don't know, you feel pain because your relationship ended and you're in deep shock of suddenly being alone again. You don't know what's coming and feel uncertain. If this is still very recent for you, here's what I'll say. If you're just getting out of a relationship, that's the most common thing. You'll go through three stages and keep them in mind. Because maybe today you're not in a relationship, but eventually you might end one or experience a loss or something like that. It's very important for you to understand these three stages, because if you know them, what they are, you'll be able to be aware of what you feel and what you have to go through for your healing. Stage number one is pain. And I'm going to be honest with you. In the first weeks after a breakup or a loss, the person who's gone will be everywhere. Everything you do will remind you of them, and everyone will too. Even the songs you listen to, or the movies you watch, the places you went to have coffee, or the breakfast you made for yourself, or the dress you wear so often. That person liked it, and all those little things that nobody else knew, but that person did. They're going to hurt you. When that happens, don't deny your emotions. Feel it all. Live it. Connect with your emotions. Listen to yourself. Cuddle up, scream in private if you want, cry with someone, do whatever you need to do. Let your emotions flow whenever you need to. Let everything pass through you. And do it as often as you need to. Talk to your best friends. Call your mom for the 100th time. but don't try to hide it. Admit and accept the heaviness and pain you're carrying. Because accepting it gives you the opportunity to recognize what you have and change it. But despite everything, I need you to always remember that you are not lost, that the pain you are experiencing is pushing you to change and grow in ways that maybe today you can't understand. But you will understand, that I can assure you. I promise you, you will survive this and everything else. I know it's painful, uncomfortable, and frustrating, but it's also temporary and it gets better with time. You're going to survive this and you're going to get through it no matter how heavy it feels right now. Stage number two is learning. No matter how much you want to convince yourself that you and that person were meant for each other, or that the relationship was amazing, or that life simply got in the way, you have to understand that there was a reason why you broke up. I know you'll naturally want to blame someone or something for this and say things like, it's just that if that person hadn't moved away, we'd still be together. Or if I had been a little more fun, or a little more lovable, or a little less jealous, maybe they'd still be with me. Whatever story you're telling yourself to try to rationalize that breakup, you need to understand that things just didn't work out because you just weren't compatible, or because you just weren't willing to make things work. That's simply the reason. This doesn't mean your relationship was bad, nor was it fake or a waste of time. It was what it was, period. But sometimes people find themselves at a stage in their lives where they can't commit. Sometimes people aren't willing to change or improve for someone, even for you. Or maybe you didn't want to improve or change your future for that person. You need to understand that's okay, because both of you have plans, dreams, and things to learn. And maybe both of you need to learn them on your own. And you can't blame yourself or that person for not being or for not being more compatible. Maybe they loved each other. They couldn't appreciate everything they had to offer. Or maybe you are ready to give a lot of yourself, but that person isn't. If they're not ready, they're just not ready. And you know what? You're probably not ready either. Because have you ever thought about it? Why are you attracted to someone who doesn't fully commit to you? I think there's a reason why you're desperately trying to make that person love you. But why do you think your life would be worse without that person? Or why do you think you deserve a half hearted love? Or why do you think you don't deserve commitment? Why do you want to be with someone who's not sure about you? Now, at this stage, it's time to figure it out. And that, exactly that, can be a great lesson. Whatever the reason your relationship ends, there will always be a lesson. And in this second stage, you'll see it and you'll be grateful for it because it will make you a better partner for your future relationships, but it will also help you filter them better. And that's extremely valuable. The third stage is healing. The fact that your relationship didn't work out doesn't mean it wasn't worth it or that it was a waste of time. Trying, living, and experiencing is never a waste of time. It's never in vain. Believing in love is never in vain. The memories that feel too heavy for you to carry on your back today, someday won't have that weight or that bitter taste anymore. They won't hurt you anymore because you'll understand that the time you shared with that person was a gift. You'll understand that relationship was meant to be, but it just wasn't meant to last. You'll come to understand that sometimes even the best love stories end. It doesn't matter if they lasted 3 months, 3 years, or 30 years. At some point, they're going to end. There's also a lot of collateral beauty in endings. When a relationship ends, both people return to single life knowing that they've been loved, that they've lived incredible moments, that they've felt deeply, that they've taken risks, and that they've won during the process. And it's possible that the person is no longer part of your life right now, but they gave you unforgettable moments and memories for your whole life. So as you move forward and start putting the pieces back together, I promise you'll understand better who you are, what you value, what you deserve, what you can tolerate, and what you can't compromise on in a relationship. You'll realize that at the end of the day, you've gained much more than you think you've lost. Are you currently going through a breakup and finding it really hard to let go? Are you afraid to love again because you don't want to get hurt again? Do you think finding a partner like the one you dream of is impossible? Have you already suffered too many disappointments in love and feel like love isn't for you? Well, let me tell you that a long time ago, I was in the same situation as you. I went through a breakup that affected me deeply. I sank into a deep, silent depression, and life looked gray to me. It was very hard for me to let go. But thanks to learning everything I could about human behavior, relationships, positive psychology, neuroscience, emotional intelligence, and other things, I was able to get out of that depression. I found the formulas, the keys, and the answers to achieve better relationships. And today I enjoy a life that honestly I could never have imagined before. I have much healthier relationships. I've become much more attractive to others, and my life is much more fulfilling.